Let me tell you what happened after the rain came back. At first, nobody questioned it. Folks just woke up one morning and saw puddles in the cracks, leaves standing tall again, and the smell of wet earth that felt like forgiveness. The fields turned from dust to green in 2 weeks flat. The buffalo rolled in real mud for the first time in a year. Jonah even caught himself whistling while fixing the fence. But peace is loud to the people who hate quiet, because rain like that doesn't go unnoticed. Not when satellites track every drop and corporate weather grids control when and where clouds move. And 3 weeks after Sera saved the farm, the sky went quiet again. Not from drought this time, but from surveillance. A shadow passed over the field. Not clouds. A ship. It didn't roar, it whispered. Sleek, white, with silver edges sharp enough to make the air bleed light. Stamped on its hull, Agri-Terran Enforcement Division. And right then, Jonah knew. They weren't coming to say thank you. Here's what was on the line. If these inspectors proved the rain wasn't government-sanctioned, that it came from an unauthorized atmospheric event, the entire region could be tagged as contaminated infrastructure. That meant forced buyout, eviction, and sealed ownership under corporate protection law. Jonah would lose everything again. Worse, if they found Sera, if they realized what she was, they wouldn't just arrest her. They'd dissect her, patent her, turn her into a footnote in a file labeled non-human bioasset. Jonah had already seen what happened when tech wasn't human enough to belong. He wasn't going to let it happen again. It came down in the south pasture, silent but heavy, kicking up spirals of dust. The door opened before the dirt even settled. 3 figures stepped out. 2 wore polished white exosuits with mirrored visors, each carrying a scanning drone the size of a crow. Between them walked a woman in a dark gray field jacket, human, calm, sharp eyes like frostbite. Her badge glinted. Inspector Rhea Koran, Enforcement Liaison. Jonah met them halfway down the fence line. Hat on, shirt clean enough, boots muddy on purpose. Afternoon, he said. Rhea gave a thin smile. Mr. Cade, we're here to assess meteorological irregularities detected on your property. He shrugged. Ain't much irregular about wanting rain. Except, she replied, when it violates atmospheric allocation protocols. Her team fanned out. Drones buzzed low over the wheat, blinking green as they scanned soil samples. Rhea stepped closer. Satellite data indicates concentrated microresonance activity. It originated right here. Jonah didn't blink. We used a sonic tiller. Bought it used. Probably gave off noise. She didn't look convinced. This tiller of yours created rainfall in a 30-mile radius. That's not noise, Mr. Cade. That's engineering. Inside the north house, Sera was watching through a window. Her posture was perfectly still, like a photograph waiting to move. She wore Jonah's old jacket to hide her arms, her hair tied back, hat brim low. When the scanner drone drifted past the porch, she crouched behind the door. Her voice came through the comms bead Jonah had built from old radio parts. Their instruments are reading the rods. Jonah, still standing with Rhea, said low under his breath, Can you shut 'em down? Not without alerting them, she whispered. They're tied to the atmospheric mesh. Rhea gestured toward the barn. May we inspect your equipment? Jonah nodded, slow. Sure. Nothing fancy, but go ahead. Inside the barn, one of the white-suited agents ran a scanner along the walls. It pinged faintly near the workbench, the spot where Sera had dismantled her rain rods. Jonah felt sweat slide down his neck. Those parts? Just scrap. Trying to build a water recycler? The agent turned the scanner off, expression unreadable behind the visor. But Rhea wasn't looking at the bench. She was looking at the windmill outside, turning slow against the horizon. Her lips curved slightly. Beautiful old thing, seems modified, evening fell. They set up a mobile command unit by the fence. Sleek tables, glowing screens, all numbers and noise. Jonah brought out coffee, because hospitality still meant something, even when your guests were a threat. Rhea took a sip, grimaced. Strong. Stronger than your drones, maybe, Jonah said. She smiled politely. Tell me something, Mr. Cade. Do you believe weather should belong to everyone? He leaned back in his chair. I believe rain don't check bank accounts. That's a dangerous philosophy, she said softly. Water rights are stability. Chaos kills economies. And control kills people, he shot back. One of her agents interrupted. Director, we've found residue near the central field. Unregistered isotopic structure. Ria's gaze sharpened. Show me. They followed the agent out to the field. The spot glowed faintly blue under ultraviolet light. Jonah knew what it was. Traces of Sera's resonance field. Ria crouched, touched the soil, watched it shift and breathe almost like skin. Organic tech, she murmured. Something alive did this. Jonah's heart thudded. He said, You people always looking for monsters under the bed. She stood slowly. Not monsters, miracles. And we need to know who's making them. At midnight, the agent swept the property again. One of the drones buzzed too close to the north house. Sera didn't move at first, but when it hovered at the window, its lens whirring, she reached out instinctively, and the machine froze mid-air, lights flickering. Her control wasn't perfect. The drone spasmed, then crashed to the porch. A second later, alarm screamed across the field. Ria and her team ran toward the house. Jonah bolted from the barn, shouting, Wait! It's a malfunction! The front door opened. Sera stepped out into the floodlights. Her hat fell back. Her eyes caught the light. Metallic gray-blue, too deep, too clear. The agents raised weapons automatically. Ria's voice cut through. Hold fire! For a long moment, nobody moved. Wind whipped dust between them. The red windmill turned once, creaking like an old song. Ria approached slowly. You're not human. Sera's voice was steady. Neither is the storm. But we both feed your fields. Jonah stepped between them. She saved this land. You shut her down. You kill everything green for 50 miles. Ria studied him, then Sera. You think this is about punishment? It's about control. The last time someone modified weather tech, they flooded an entire valley. Sera replied quietly. Control is not understanding. Something in Ria's face softened. Not much, just enough to notice. Maybe, but my orders aren't philosophy. Dawn came gray and heavy. The inspectors loaded their equipment, preparing to leave or to call reinforcements. Ria stood alone by the windmill, studying it. Jonah joined her. You gonna take her? He asked. She didn't answer. You know what happens if this kind of power spreads uncontrolled? He sighed. Yeah, maybe people start feeding themselves again. She turned to him. You really believe that? He met her gaze. I watched her nearly die to give this world one honest rain. Tell me your satellites ever did that. Behind them, Sera was dismantling the rods quietly, hands slow, precise. Ria finally said, I should report this. But? Jonah asked. She looked at the sky, now soft blue, clouds thin and real. But sometimes the paperwork loses itself. He smiled. Guess the wind's good at that. She started walking back to her ship, then paused. Mr. Cade. If anyone asks, this farm's soil anomaly was a natural resonance event. Jonah nodded. Nature's been acting strange lately. The ship lifted off, slow and silent, leaving only a ripple in the grass. Sera watched it vanish. She knew, she said. Jonah nodded. Yeah, but she chose to forget. Rain began again, soft and slow. No machines, no rods, no storm. Just weather remembering how to be kind. They stood there together, a farmer, an alien, and a sky that finally stopped choosing sides. So that's how the inspectors came and left empty-handed. Not because they didn't find the truth, but because, for once, a human decided to keep it safe. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do isn't fighting the system. It's letting something good exist quietly enough to grow.